Man,
That is the
learned
goal.
so much. Ooh.
Right.
Holy
But I'm
smokes.
with you on that. But I'm gonna get back to my big thing as the kidney donor, because I didn't say yes off the rip. There was other personal reasons why I didn't say yes, but one of the hugest reasons, as a black male, I was like, Gus said, nah, I'm taking everything. First and foremost, I was like, I came in here with everything, I'm going out with everything. The second reason was driving that decision, which was fear. I was just scared. And I was raised by the old regiment. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Of people who was just like, hey, if you ain't got to go to the hospital, you just don't go.
Yeah.
Take some castor oil. It clear.
You get nothing but bad news.
Well, apple cider vinegar will cure all of that.
Yeah.
Oh, you sick?
Yeah.
Here's some old granddad that'll clear it. You know what I mean? You'll be fine.
Well, and those are those things that I think as a community, as a black community, that we have to talk about and break through, because we don't want to talk about it. We don't discuss, at least how I was raised. We didn't talk about money. We didn't talk about finances. We didn't talk about those things. And then we didn't talk about what was going on with us, because we, like, especially as the lead or the head of the household, like if there was something going on from a health perspective, you didn't talk about it. You just powered through. And so we've been conditioned to do that.
Yeah.
But the reality is,
Right.
if we don't talk about it,
Yeah.
that doesn't end well for us.
Yeah, you're right.
And so that's, again, I've said this, I appreciate this platform to have this honest conversation, because yes, we like to kick it. We like to, have a cocktail or smoke a stick, do those things. But we also have to think about our health and generations to come. And
The bill comes due.
The bill comes due,
bill
and
comes
we gotta break through that and have these conversations. Period.
And understand
point
that
blank.
the negatives that come through the doctor, like you're negative on this, you're negative on this. The negatives are positives, guys. The negatives are positives.
Yes.
But you got to go and get those negatives from the doctor, someone who is qualified to tell you.
Yes.
It can't be Aunt Nene from Mississippi.
Right.
Yeah. Our good friend, Galen, who was a guest,
Galen.
He posted he got a colonoscopy.
Yes, sir.
Man, and to this day, a lot of guys, you talk colonoscopy, a lot of guys
Oh, yeah. They not trying to hear that.
ain't trying to hear it.
They ain't trying to hear that.
I came home from mine,
You know.
and all the guys are around here, and I'm like, yeah, I only had like 18 polyps. And they're like, 18?
Right.
I'm
Now-
like, is that a lot? They're
Now,
like,
now you were feeling,
yeah,
now
dude.
you were feeling fine.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Right,
yeah.
You
But I
would
wouldn't.
never-
Well, the Army made me do it. At
well,
50, you have to go get
that
it
doctor
done.
got
You
laser
won't
happy
pass
like a
your-
motherfucker.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was like, oh, I
He's
took
playing a
care of
video
you.
game in there.
So I took care of you. But my next one was 2 years, not 5 years. So
That's
and
great.
the next
Yeah.
one was good. So
Yeah.
Yeah, my
But-
dad went through the same thing. Like he had polyps for years.
Mine's too.
And had to get them removed. And then years ago, he ended up in the hospital because he had, as a result of those removals, he had a bowel obstruction, and they had to remove a lot of his intestine. And it was serious,
I'd like to revisit something you mentioned that I think is important, and that was people understanding their family history.
Yes.
I've been pretty diligent about it, and so I've been to go see a cardiologist because of all the people with these, issues in my family. And my uncle called me up the other day, and he was asking me about our family's cardiology history because he got diagnosed
Right.
with a aortic aneurysm. My mother had an aortic aneurysm. My grandfather, his dad, had an aortic aneurysm. My great grandfather, his grandfather, had an aortic aneurysm. So, but he wasn't aware of this.
Wow.
He'd never been to a cardiologist, and when I told him all this, he's like, "Oh, well, I better let I better let the heart doctor know this." I'm like,
Might be
it's,
something good to talk about.
Yeah,
he'd
absolutely.
never been on the treadmill. I've
And
been on the
that's-
treadmill like 3 times already.
And
So-
that's the thing, too. It's like there's no communication amongst the generations So when there's no communication amongst the generations, it's incumbent upon you for your health and your safety and for you to be around
Go dig
for
it
your
up.
kids'
Yeah.
graduation.
Yeah, you need to understand.
To go out and seek and get these tests done.
Your risks are genetic. I got high blood pressure at the age of 30, and I was
Really?
in great health.
Really?
At 30, yeah. And it started kicking in at 30. High blood pressure and cholesterol went through the roof. And
what-
so
I've
I
seen,
had
how,
to.
you,
What
I've
was
seen
that?
how you eat, Jim.
So what was that? Was that part family history? Or
I think
what
it's
was that?
I think it was all family history. I mean, I had been in the Army
Yes.
all my life, and was very active in sports. There really wasn't. And I've put on a few pounds now recently, but back in the age of 30, I was still 150, 155.
And not just Army, but we're talking about an Army Ranger, someone who had to be in peak
Yeah.
physical condition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that
So-
that family history is
it's a
critical.
big deal.
Thank you
It
Kurt,
is.
for
It
refilling
really
my
is.
glass.
Yeah.
It truly
I
is.
was so growing up. I always had this rapid heart thing going on, and I just thought that was just a part of my whatever. Like
Makeup,
I didn't
right?
know that was a thing. And then when my son was born, got him home from the hospital, and he went completely gray, and his heart rate was through the roof. Well, we came to find out that he had this condition called SVT, or supraventricular tachycardia, which is a rapid heart rate.
I've heard of that.
I have the same thing.
Wow.
Didn't know that that's what I had. And mine progressed just as I got older to where I had to go to the emergency room 3 times because I could not get my heart rate back to
Right.
normal. And I ended up needing a procedure it's called an ablation to fix that. And I'm fine, but I didn't know that that's what I had.
Right.
But it was a result of what my son was diagnosed with, where I said, oh, well, I gotta have the same thing going on.
Right.
And these are the things like we got to talk about it.
You're
And
right.
dialogue is so important.
It
and
is.
There's so often that we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to expose our vulnerability as
Right.
people,
Especially as men.
as men. And that's why I was so excited to come on, because men, you guys got to get in the game.
Yeah.
We need you, and we need you to go to the doctor. You know when something is off. You can't just keep putting it off like,
Right.
yeah, I'm good. I'll take an aspirin or I'll do that. Like, get yourself checked out.
Right.
Yeah, I've been so you take your meds, and you're good.
Right.
Because my
Right.
kidneys get checked. My kidneys aren't affected yet, which means that I've been managing the blood pressure.
Yeah.
But you have to do that.
But you got to take your
because-
meds every day.
Because
you know.
if you don't, then you could get to a point later on in life when they're saying, hey, things are not good.
Yeah.
And you may need a transplant.
Right.
And
Right.
that's the reality for so many people in this country. And again, it's something we don't talk about.
And take your meds consistently.
Take your meds
Now-
consistently. Absolutely.
Not when you feel like it.
Put
or
yourself first. This is self-care at its highest level.
And if you have a family, do it for your family.
Correct.
If you got kids, do it for your kids. Come on, just
Right.
Now let me ask you this, Andy. What exactly is your role? What do you do? What is, because people are going to ask us like, well, what is it that you do? Or is
So-
this just some beautiful female that decided to just drop on your show and start
thank you.
talking?
we get that every week, don't we? Oh,
No,
We're
so
hoping, we're hoping.
I kind of, I'll be honest, I stumbled upon this work. I got my degree from journalism at the Ohio State University.
Yes!
Bucks.
Bucks.
I-O.
Go Bucks. John Cooper was the coach when I was there. Not to date
Yeah, I
myself.
got a
but
sign.
But I
Yeah.
see my guy Jim Tressel
Yeah.
back there, the sweater vest. All about the sweater vest. But I thought, I'm going to be the next Connie Chung. That was that was what I was aspiring to do. That did not pan out. But I love communicating. I love talking to people. I love learning about people and just their past and how they've come to be where they are. And so I kind of stumbled upon this work after being in advertising and PR. And this by far is the most, I find a tremendous amount of gratitude in the work that I do, because I work with an organization that facilitates organ, eye, and tissue donation here in Greater Cincinnati.
Nice.
And so I get every day, I have the privilege of working with recipients who have received kidneys, hearts, livers, and they have a second chance to live. And I also work with the donor families who have lost loved ones who have helped other people to live and to heal and to thrive. And
Nice.
that's my mission. I'm so passionate about it. But I've also come to understand that we have so much work to do. We've got to have these conversations.
That's Blue messing with his boot down there.
No, that's the cork. Don't chew it on the cork.
And what I've also come to
man.
understand
Get my dog drunk.
is we don't. Yeah. I'm taking Blue with me when I leave.
You're gonna have to fight Man Cave Mama for that.
I'm ready.
That's a cage match there.
Tag me in. I'm taking Blue with me.
Which, by the way, real quick, Andy, my uncle actually got to live another 32 years.
Wow.
I mean, does that? But tell me this.
After I
How
gave
do
him,
you feel about that? Knowing
feel
that you
great.
did that. You did that.
I feel great.
Los,
I'm
you did
serious.
that.
I feel great.
You
I know,
did that.
and you know what my family even said, because my family was angry with me at first.
And you know what? You and I talked about this at Blaze.
A little bit. Yeah, well, I think we did.
remembered it. But you and I talked about this at Blaze.
They were angry a little bit.
Why were they angry?
Because of what he did and his age.
Because of what I did, they didn't feel he was
the
deserving.
history.
It was the whole.
there's dynamics.
The story was
there's
starting to get out about what I went through.
Yeah,
there,
there's baggage there
and things like that.
And
But
that's real. That's real. That's,
But for
that's
me-
I'm gonna say it. That's real shit.
Yeah.
Like
It is.
that. And you gotta. But listen, you saved his life.
I know it's still kind of. I mean, even now, you know what I mean. It's kind of
32 years.
Yeah, and then God rest his soul, he passed away. But it still was just when I was at his funeral, I was just kind of like, well, I'm happy that he got to live.
And how
those
did your
extra-
family, like, once you did that, and then your family seeing that he had all of this life in front of him, what did your family ever come back to you and say, thank you?
Not my family, but his family was like, they were like, oh, thank you so. Like they were just.
And
Did
like-
he
were
change,
super
Gus?
overjoyed.
Did he change as a man, as a person? Do you think?
Okay.
That's
And then
We real on the
if
Gus
the
and Lo
answer is
show.
no,
Get
it's
messy.
So
okay.
I'm
but-
gonna be real on the Gus and Lo show. After I gave him the kidney, and you guys know,
Yeah,
I
we-
went through
yeah,
the
we know
whole
the
thing of what we
background,
went
yeah.
through. After I gave him the kidney, I didn't hear from them for probably about 10 years.
Wow.
After that, and the only reason I heard from them after 10 years is because we did a family reunion thing, and it was like, oh, I just want you to know I'm grateful for it, But for me, what it did for me,
More for you then,
as
yeah.
a man,
Yeah.
what it did
Yeah,
for
I-
me
I
as
agree.
a man, and then struggling with my feelings and the monkey on the back, which is what we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
That monkey went back to Africa,
What-
wherever the hell he was.
What made? But
He went
here's
back.
my question: what made you decide to step up and do that?
Okay.
Los?
So we don't talk religion, but I'm going to say it once again. It was a
Spiritual.
God-driven
Okay. And
decision.
I've heard that so often. And what you're saying also in the follow-up,
I was told.
that,
I was literally told you're a better match than any of his family
and I've
members
heard
could be.
that, and I've heard that, like something called you to do that, and
Mm-hmm.
you did it, and you listened, and you did that, and I've heard that before,
And it's done wonders for my life.
I bet it has.
It has. It really has. It really has. And,
I
and
just-
the one person who also was impacted by that was my son. God rest his soul. When he was still alive, he was just he could not. He was like, but Dad, like he did all this to you. He did all this to you. Like you were abused, and he could not comprehend as a young man someone saving the life of someone who had abused them.
Well, what an act of unconditional love, and I know there's pain in that, and I'm like, we're not going to get into that, but my God, like that's huge. That's huge. Now, so I know people that have done that for complete strangers, not
Right.
or just people they worked with. I have a friend of mine who worked with someone, and the coworker her son needed a kidney transplant. My friend said, "I'll do it."
Right.
Like, why wouldn't I? I'm going to save this young man's life.
Exactly.
And you know what? She was a perfect match. She did it. She went on to have 2 beautiful